into Texans Pep Talk. Head coach D'Amico Ryans called this the play of the game. Second half, Colts trying to tie the ball game up, and Eric Murray comes up with a big time stop, DJ.
Man, think about it. Without this play, when the Colts went down and scored on that long drive in the fourth quarter, that would have tied the game. They would basically kick the field goal to tie the game. This made it a two-possession game for the rest of the game, and the Texans were able to close it out.
Pep, did you like that call?
I thought it was a great defensive call. For one, offensively, you work on these two-point plays for months, if not the entire offseason, and in practice, DJ, you're typically 20 for 20. I've been on the wrong side of one of those. Texas fans, you remember that Cowboys game, end of the game, we had a chance to win it. We went for two. That play was a bad play called by Coach Pep. Good job by Coach D'Amico, and the Texans are finding a way to win a tough divisional game on the road.
At least you're honest.
We love honesty right here on Texans Pep Talk. Welcome into Texans Pep Talk. I'm Chancellor Johnson, joined by DJ Bianna May from ESPN, and of course, former offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton and QB Guru. Guys, the Houston Texans are 1-0, and they were led by their two newcomers, Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. I'm sure you love the way they ran the rock.
I think that's the equalizer. You know, when you look at this Texans team, they have an opportunity now to not only present weapons on the perimeter that are second to none in the National Football League, but now you can partner that with a run game and almost de-emphasize your quarterback, not ask him to carry the team on his back. I think it's a great formula for the Texans to achieve all the goals that we've been talking about thus far in this show.
And to build on top of that, Gus Bradley, the Colts defensive coordinator, he mentioned how because of Nico, Tank, Diggs, they had to run a lot of too high. So what did that do? Gave Joe Mixon a plethora of opportunities to run against light boxes. He averaged, I think, 5.8 yards per carry, 88 yards against light boxes. That's going to be a tick for tack that teams are going to have to pick. Do we put people in the box and then leave our corners one-on-one, or do we just let them methodically drive down the field?
Right. Early in the season, Chance, defenses have a hard time tackling. You look at the teams that won this past weekend. You look at the formula for winning this past weekend specifically, the teams that were able to run the football, Detroit, San Francisco, even the Patriots had a 100-plus yard rusher, right? And then Joe Mixon showed up on the scene. We didn't give him his props last week.
We did not.
Buy or sell last week. Nobody talked about Joe Mixon.
So the question is, 159 yards on the ground, is that sustainable for this Houston Texans offense?
Oh, without a doubt. Bobby Slowick's offense is built around the outside zone running game. It's going to really just add another element of paranoia for the defenses to defend when they face this Texans offense.
Well, Houston Texans, they got the win 1-0, and so did their next opponent coming up Sunday Night Football. The Houston Texans, they get themselves a primetime game, a matchup between two young star QBs. We'll get more into that a little bit later on in the show. But what did you notice about the Bears getting it done really defensively taking on the Titans last week?
Well, they needed to win through their defense because offensively it was a tough watch. You know, Caleb looked like a rookie in his initial, debut. So again, he threw for under 100 yards. The defense was able to make a few plays, and I think that's what this game is going to come down to: which defense plays the best. Because I don't think the Bears can get into a shootout, but if they can keep the Texans offense under wraps just a little bit, that will give their offense a chance to make a play like last week.
So the Bears have a defensive head coach. All right, Coach Eberflus, one of the best designers of pressures that attacks the opponent's protections. But even so, okay, it's the first game of the season. It don't matter. Style points don't matter.
Nope.
You can win ugly. They found a way to win the game. Really, the Tennessee Titans found a way to lose the game. But at the end of the day, they won the game.
The Houston Texans are the only AFC South team to get a win last week. We'll see if they can do it again. Important to note, though, Roma Dunze and Keenan Allen both questionable for that game. Here's what the Houston Texans had to say before their big matchup.
Really, exciting player to watch. Strong arm, like the guy can move around the pocket, scramble in and throw. Like you have to stay on your coverage, right? Because he's going to find someone downfield.
Definitely a playmaker, somebody who can extend plays and, make all the cool throws. A tough player, take hits, and really just really talented. So, I definitely do think that he has great things coming in his career.
So Sunday Night Football features two young star QBs who had two totally different season openers. You see some of the stats right there. Quarterback C.J. Stroud went 24 of 32 for over 230 yards, plus 2 touchdowns that had a QB rating of 115.9. Williams, on the other hand, 14 of 29, under 100 yards passing, no touchdowns. Also, though, no interceptions, but a QB rating of 55.7. DJ, what did you notice that stood out when you watched Caleb Williams on the film last week?
What I noticed was if the pocket got a little bit tight, he wanted to bail and roll out. Pep is going to talk more about that, but he was playing a lot off schedule. And if you can get the Texans, if the Texans can get, Caleb to play on 2nd and long and 3rd and long, you see these numbers. These are not good numbers. Like this difference right here, that was the biggest gap among starters in week 1. So again, he looked kind of timid. He looked kind of skittish. He didn't feel confident, and again, like they weren't able to stay on the field long enough, so he wasn't able to get too much rhythm. So again, if the Texans this week, with their defense, can stop the run on early downs and force 2nd and long, 3rd and longs, it could be a long day. Like I was talking to people, I think honestly, this is my honest opinion.
Now, last time you said a 40 ball.
Hey, I was 11 points off though. I was 11 points off. That's 11 points off. You feel me? But I'm just saying. Listen, I know if the defense doesn't give up explosive like they did last week, this game could be over midway through the 3rd quarter, where we're just kind of watching highlights at that point, catching up on what happened across the NFL.
Well, right now I'm looking at the 68.5 CPOE. What does that mean for a lot of people who don't know some of those more analytical numbers?
So with next gen stats, this stat means what the expected, what the pass is supposed to be completed, right? So like this is what his expected completion percentage is, and analytically they put all these numbers, and then this is the number they come up with. The fact that this is what he actually completed means he missed a lot of easy throws.
They say left meat on the bone.
Shout out to Stephon Diggs.
As he said, now the numbers don't lie, and neither does the film. So of course now it's time to dive into more of the film room with head coach Pep Hamilton, head coach of Texans Pep Talk. That is Pep Hamilton.
I like that.
There you go.
I like that.
Now, what did you notice on the film when you watched Caleb Williams?
Well, in all fairness to Caleb, young quarterbacks, at times, they can what if themselves into problems, okay? I like to tell young quarterbacks that when you see a little, you see a lot. And when you see a lot, you don't see anything. And to DJ's point, Caleb started to feel a lot. It got real noisy for him in the pocket. And we'll see in this clip, okay? And I'm going to pause it when you get to the top of his drop, okay? All right, I have to go back just a tad, okay? All right, so this is typically what happens in an NFL pocket. The quarterback gets to the top of his drop. He gets to his launch point. When his back foot hits the ground, all right, that is pretty much like the defensive front setting their coordinates, and they're like heat-seeking missiles trying to get to that spot. All right, now, for the young quarterback, it's really important, okay, see if we can get to the end zone view here.
Already rolling out.
Yeah, he's going to escape the pocket. It's really important for young quarterbacks to learn, all right, to process information while dropping back, all right? So when I say when you see a little, you see a lot, all right, in this situation, it's 3rd down. He has to discern whether or not it's man or zone coverage. As soon as he acknowledges that it's man coverage, it's important for him now to allow his back foot to hit the ground and get the ball out, make the appropriate throw to the receiver that has the favorable matchup, okay? But what happens with Caleb in this clip, you will see his eyes went down when he got to the top of his drop. And when I say his eyes went down, I'm saying that instead of keeping his eyes downfield and trying to process what throw he needs to make, he felt the color of the pass rush and his eyes went down. He lost sight of what was happening downfield. And now the answer is to bail out. Well, the difference in the Pac-12 and the National Football League is that every defender on the field defensively can outrun Caleb, including your nose guard. Right?
This ain't college no more.
It's not college. All right, so you're not going to be able to solve all your problems by running the football and scrambling and escaping the pocket. It's called a pocket because that's your sanctuary in which you're protected, okay? So it's really, really important, all right, as we continue to look at these clips of Caleb, that we really start to understand where he's supposed to go with the ball and when he's supposed to deliver the football.
Now we'll see a little bit how D'Amico Ryans here defensively, what he might be able to do with Caleb Williams. We know how he might want to attack this rookie QB. How might D'Amico Ryans might want to do that?
Okay, real simple, okay? All right. for young quarterbacks, we have a checklist of sorts that we use to help them to go through a process of elimination pre-snap. All right, I call it helping them to shape their thoughts. So the first thing you do is you really limit and identify who they can trust as the indicators to tell them whether or not it's man or zone coverage. That's important. That's the starting point. Okay? The boundary safety should tell them if it's middle open or middle close coverage. What does that mean? Middle open, 2 safeties deep. Middle close, 1 safety in the post. We're just trying to help him to really just decide on where he should start his eyes and where he should finish. Okay? All right, what you'll see is a really good job by Coach Ryans and his staff, his defensive staff, of showing the presentation of middle of the field open pre-snap. All right, more video. Okay? All right, it looks like middle open. Okay, the safety starts to roll down to make it look like middle close coverage. All right, I'm gonna take it back just a tad. All right, so middle open, quarterback's going through his cadence, safety's rolling down like it's middle close, and it ultimately ended up being quarters coverage, which is a form of middle open. So in high school, quarterbacks have a pre-snap look, and typically what you see is what you get pre-snap. In college, a little few more disguises, but now they're using more up-tempo offense. In the National Football League, because of our hashes, you don't know if it's middle open or middle close until post-snap, after you get the ball in your hands. That's tough on a young quarterback.
We will see what DeMeco Ryans, how he decides to attack him on Sunday. We'll be right back after the break. And welcome back to Texans Pep Talk. There are a lot of really young but good gunslingers across the league. Some that can show up and shoot it out with the best of them. Today on Texans Pep Talk, we're going to list them. The top 5 QBs under the age of 25. Since my list is the best, I'll go first. Starting with number 5, Anthony Richardson. I saw him on last week in week 1 off his back foot stumbling, bomb it down the field for a touchdown. That's the big plays, but he needs to work on some of the more intermediate throws consistently. That's number 5. Number 4 is Trevor Lawrence. I don't care what you guys say. He is a talented brother. And I think once they put it together in Jacksonville, he and C.J. Stroud will be duking it out for years to come. Number 4. Number 3 is Brock Purdy. The guy is a straight-up winner. He makes the mundane look easy, but his record speaks for itself. Number 2, can you feel the love? Jordan Love, he has some time to sit behind, of course, Aaron Rodgers, and we see the results. He can make every single throw on the football field, but he ain't one. Because number 1, and should be number 1 for everybody on the show, is C.J. Stroud, the reigning offensive rookie of the year, number 1. That is my top 5 under the age of 25. DJ, I'll let you go second with this since you will have the second best list, I assume.
I mean, our list is basically the same outside of we flipped Trevor and Brock.
Okay.
You know, we just flipped that. I mean, I think Trevor has more pure talent than Brock, and I think if you put him in that system, he'd be able to do a lot of similar things. I do think Brock is a little bit more accurate, process is just a little bit better, but I think Trevor has more on his shoulders to carry.
What about you, Pep?
Well, let's check out my list.
Pep's list.
Crazy work.
Crazy work.
Crazy work. Call it what you want to call it.
Explain this.
Call it what you want to call it, okay? I think there's no doubt that CJ, what he's put on tape,
right?
The leadership,
okay,
the consistency in which when they have to have it, he makes the big play. He deserves to be at the top. Brock Purdy is pretty damn good, though. Okay? Now, he's on a good football team, but there's no consolation to the fact that on 3rd down in the red zone, 2 minute, all right, when it's time to do the things that you want your quarterback to do, make good decisions, distribute the football, okay, not turn the ball over, he's shown that he can do that consistently. Jordan Love is still somewhat of an unknown, in my opinion. We're talking about 1 season and 1 game of work, but what we saw him do, as a starter. Hold on now, right?
You got it. I'm let you cook.
Right.
Go ahead, cook. I'm gonna push back.
What I'm saying is what he did in the playoffs, all right, elevated his standing and status on Coach Pep's list, right? Trevor Lawrence, he checks off a lot of boxes. Got to protect the football. All right? Ball security is job security. Okay? You notice, none of us have really talked about any rookie quarterbacks.
Haven't.
Okay? I'm going to tell you this, okay? One thing you can't teach is you can't teach talent. All right? Joe Milton, you notice I didn't have Caleb Williams. I didn't have Jaden Daniels. I didn't have J.J. McCarthy.
You have to explain this one to me.
Bo Nix. I don't have any of those guys. Now, I want to give Michael Penix an honorable mention, okay? Because I think he's a special player. But with Joe, 6'5", 240 pounds, okay? And in the preseason, he was the best quarterback on that Patriots roster. He outplayed the other two guys. But the economics say that, okay, we're going to get a veteran a shot. All right, Drake May, up and coming. They invested the third pick into Drake. All right. But what I know about Joe, because with young quarterbacks, it's a big unknown. That's what separates the rookies from everybody else. It's just the unknown. You don't know how they're going to respond when the lights come on, right? All right. One thing I do know is I know a little bit more about Joe, and I'm just a bit biased. We're having fun.
At least you can admit that.
At least you can admit that he's biased.
I recruited him to Michigan.
It's okay.
Right?
It's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I trained him in the offseason, so I know just a little more. But when you go put the tape on, all right, the tape, it speaks for itself.
DJ, before we get to the picks, just real quick, how do you feel about Joe Milton coming in at 5? He said, you know, he mentioned Jordan Love not as unproven. I'm looking at your face right now. How do you feel about Milton at number 5?
I love Pep, but Pep a little crazy right now. I love Pep, but Pep a little crazy. I mean, I think Joe Milton has all the talent in the world. He could throw a cotton ball through a semi-truck. Yep. I get it. The arm strength is crazy. But top 5 on the quarterbacks under 25?
It's a reach, but it's fun. We just
I know. I get it. I get it.
I
want to ask you this though, right? What makes Brock better than Trevor to you? Because that will be viewed as an unpopular opinion.
Well, I think at this point, it's protecting the football. All right, just moving the offense forward, and the consistency in which he makes the good decision in critical situations is the X factor for me.
Well, talking about decisions, you guys have some decisions to make for week 2. We talked about some of those picks last week. It's time for our picks for this week, week 2. We'll pull up. Let's go with my picks first. On who do I think is going to win in week 2? I'll start with, I think the Houston Texans will get it done.
Those are my picks.
Oh, okay, there you go. Let's go with your picks first.
Yeah,
then.
those are my picks. And I tell you this, okay? I was wrong last night. So once again, the Thursday night game.
Me too. We all were.
Yeah, not happening, right? But I feel good about the picks. I don't see any surprises, any real surprises on this list. You know, I'm picking the Giants to win over the Commanders, but.
So you have the New York Jets going to 0-2 to start the year. You have the Titans beating them.
I do. I just think the Jets, they're still working to find their identity. Without a doubt, Aaron Rodgers is still elite. He showed us that. All right, but at the end of the day, the Titans are physical. They're probably just a bit more physical than the Jets.
Okay.
The Jets seem to be reaching on defense, right?
Right.
You know, they have a hard time stopping the run. And when you can't stop the run, it makes it more of a challenge.
DJ, how about your picks in a second? Let's go. We'll say what mine. I picked wrong yesterday. The Dolphins already obviously lost. I have the Texans taking care of business, I think, in blowout fashion over the Bears. And then I think the Jets, I think they do get a win. So we're going to holler about that next week. So that's what I have on mine. Some of the more notable ones. DJ, it's time for yours.
I got some upsets.
Well, we were both wrong on the Miami pick.
Of course. You know, I picked with my heart, though, there. But that's neither here nor there. I got the Panthers bouncing back. I got the Panthers. I'm a big proponent of if you get embarrassed, the next week you come out and you fight. You try to make something happen. I think they'll be able to have the upset of the week. I just can't believe and I won't believe that Kirk Cousins is finished. So I got them beating the Eagles. I think that they're going to get the offense back on track. The Eagles defense isn't all that great. You can run the ball on them. You can throw the ball on them. So as long as they can make some plays and Kirk can move just a little bit in the pocket, they'll be able to get the ball to the playmakers, and I think they'll be able to get the win.
I think we all have the Texans moving on to 2-0 this week. Is that right?
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching Texans Pep Talk. We will be back next week as well for more fun and film. See you next week.